Yep. Them is everywhere around here. Hunting packs. Sometimes they're under control of one of those outworlders. Sometimes they're just wild. I'll help, Donut said. And she started to sing.
It's hard to sing proper with all that disgusting grunting and stabbing and screeching going on around me. Besides, Mongo and Carl think I'm an excellent singer.
So, as I'm sure you've heard a lot this morning, I've discovered your book because it suddenly seemed to explode into the consciousness of everybody younger I work with. So it was described as like it was being written by Reddit. And, to me, 6 months ago, and then suddenly it's everywhere. So I get and don't get why that person said it. I feel like the way both of you are working so spontaneously, is there improv in your background? Because it feels like there's a lot of yes and happening in what you're doing.
So there isn't a lot of improv in my background. I'm too tongue-tied to be able to do that vocally on the fly, but I am what's called a pantser. I make everything up as I go along.
I just told him, I said, I feel like it's pantsed.
And it's completely pants. A lot of times people don't believe me, but the yes and philosophy behind improv is something I've read a lot about. I watch a lot of improv. I consider it improv in a way when I write. It's very important to me to not know where I'm going because I won't finish it if I do know where I'm going. I like to deliberately paint myself in the corner. It's why I allow the people on my Patreon to vote for the terrible things that happen to Carl and Donut, because they always pick something unexpected, and how the hell am I going to get out of this situation? And I'll write scenes over and over and over and over again until I find the most perfect solution. And that's just the way I work, and that's terrible writing advice. Don't do that if you're a writer. But
it worked for you.
It works for me. I consider myself a pretty slow writer. A lot of people won't consider me a slow writer in the trad world, but in the indie world, it's you gotta sink or swim. And there's a lot of my contemporaries who are putting out 5-6 books a year, and these guys are writing 200,000 words a month, and I'm basically writing 1 book a year right now. So it's a lot. The most recent book, This Inevitable Ruin, was 270,000 words, which is a really long book. It's like almost 3 times the length of an average book. But I wrote about 800,000 words for that book. And it all gets cut and chopped up and taken and thrown on the floor and not used at all. And you can't do that on improv stage. You can't tell the joke. You can't like workshop the joke in front of a live audience. That's why, as a writer, I have the ability to, not use what I just wrote, if that makes sense.
It does.
Okay.
So talk to me about book talk, because that's how I first learned of this book, and not only like the physical copy, like I own it on Kindle and Audible, and like there's a huge thing on book talk. They talk about like the immersive reading, where you read it as you listen.
Yeah, Audible loves that.
This is maybe the best book I've had that experience with. So like what's book talk meant to like just the growth and the crazy fandom now that follows this series?
Yeah, well, my company, Soundbooth Theater, runs the TikTok account. So I don't pay too much attention to it, but I do notice numbers. I do notice engagement, and I really like seeing when people will do things like lip sync to Princess Donut lines and stuff, So it's great to see people engage with the content and create content out of it themselves. I think that's one of the great things about the current era of fandom is that there's so much do-it-yourself attitude. There's so much. It's not just that we're flattered to see people make stuff out of it, but it helps the rest of the fandom bond over the thing that they love. By putting effort into something, by creating something, it's almost as if they're taking a little bit of ownership over the of the IP, and that creates a very beautiful community feeling amongst them. I think that's a big part of how any IP can become bigger, is just by allowing the fans to play with it.
I've been on TikTok since pretty early, and I didn't really post very much. I still don't post very much, but I watch Pug videos all day long, and about a year ago, I never saw anything about Dungeon Crawler Carl, But I did watch a lot of book talk. I'm always immersed in whatever drama's happening in the romance world. But one day I saw someone posted a video, and then the next day there was like a couple videos, and now so many people discovered it, and that's just kind of the TikTok explosion. You've seen that happen with like Rebecca Yarros, for example. She just took off, meteoric rise, and it's because of TikTok. And the boom that Dungeon Crawler Carl is having right now, especially with female readers, is because of TikTok. And it's amazing. And that's my favorite part about Carl is I never really paid for any advertising or anything like that. It's all been word of mouth, and that's really the best way for books to spread.
Yeah, it's so organic.
Yeah.
I was saying that before.
My question is more towards Jeff, if you don't mind. Carl's voice is such a standout. What went into finding his sound? Was it something you immediately heard when reading the book, or did it take experimenting to look into his personality?
Yeah, so it was pretty instant. I'm pretty instinctive when it comes to character voices in general, but for me it was just all I had to do was take a look at the original cover, and it just popped into my head because, you know, in a way, when I'm narrating audiobooks, I'm a casting director. The way I handle voices is I have a troupe of actors in my head, and so I will say, oh, this character, all right, this guy. And then let me just like add a speech impediment or an accent or
A foot fetish.
or a foot fetish. But you know, when I saw that picture, I see big, chill dude who could probably fuck you up if you made him mad. And to me, if I were, you know, casting for an animation or something, I'd say Patrick Warburton right now. So I just did my best Patrick Warburton impression and started there. But I think the best characters that voice actors come up with start as impressions. It usually does, and then it develops over time as you spend more time with the character and actually, you know, figure out who they are in a deeper sense. So, in a way, yeah, it was instant. I knew where to start, but it was getting to know Carl and going on this journey with him and realizing more about his character that's gotten his voice to where it is now.
Hi, my name's Cherry.
Hi, Cherry.
Nice to meet you. My question is, when you first came up with the idea of the book and you started writing it, how did you realize it would catch on and that you would have this inspiration to be able to continue writing it, as well as working with him to get the voice? Because sometimes when I read things, I have an idea what I want the voice to sound like, and then when I hear the audiobook, it's not what I was thinking, but I'm not the author, so
Well, first off, I had no idea it was going to take off like this. I had no clue whatsoever. I actually started writing this on December 26, 2019. I remember the day. It was the day after my birthday. And yeah, Christmas baby, it sucks.
Yeah.
And
Yes, he is Jesus. You know, just get that out of the way.
But I wasn't anticipating even publishing it outside of Royal Road, which is a free online web serial site. And I've been writing a long time. My first book came out way back in 2003. But when I write, I always have kind of voices and ideas in my head. And I don't even remember the voices I had specifically in my head when I started writing it. Jeff, his company Soundbooth Theater has a bi-weekly podcast called Soundbooth Theater Live. And this is on YouTube right now. You can watch it. They did a scene from the first book live, sight unseen, just because Jeff and I were already friends at this point. We already knew each other. And it worked so well. Right afterwards, Jeff messaged me, was like, well, when you're ready, I want to do this book. And by the time February of 2021 rolled around, I published it in October of 2020, the first book. And I did that pretty early because my job was gone because of the pandemic. I used to travel to conventions like this one. I never got into this one, but I would travel to conventions all over the country selling cat art. That's what I did. To this day, you could
Cat art.
Oh my gosh.
To this day, you can Google Matt Dinniman art and you'll still see stuff. IKEA carried my stuff. I still have greeting cards available in Paper Chase stores in the UK. But all of that went away. And so I was forced to publish Carl earlier than I wanted. And they ended up doing the audiobook, and it did well at first. I mean, then one day people, is kind of like the TikTok thing we were talking about. One day a couple people were talking about it, and then a few days later, more and more. And that's always my goal, is to have someone say, I just read this book and I really want to talk about it. And that's what happened. And now I can't hear anything but his voices in my head, even when I'm writing.
Is that a good or bad thing?
Oh, it's a terrible thing. It's a terrible thing. He narrates my life now.
Now we're to the 7th book in the series.
Right.
Has your writing style changed over that process? Are you specifically now, maybe not on purpose or maybe subconsciously, starting to write more towards his voice?
Oh,
Or-
absolutely. Yeah. First off, I absolutely write towards audio, especially now. Again, I hear his voice when I write. And it actually helps, because the voice of the actual characters, I hear how he will perform it in my brain, and I'm getting pretty good at predicting how he'll do certain scenes, and that really, really helps. But as a writer, I've changed quite a bit. I think the tone of the story is pretty consistent, but the scope is spread out quite a bit. My original plan was a very simple, straightforward story, without too many crazy plot twists and so many characters, and that's obviously didn't happen. I actually wrote the first book in second person also, and I changed it when I started posting on Royal Road, because no one wants to read a second person unless you're N.K. Jemisin, and I can't pull that off. So I fixed it, but it takes a while for my brain to change like tense like that. So
That makes sense.
yeah, or point of view, I mean. But yeah.
And I have a secondary question, really random. So Donut's the main character, right?
Oh, absolutely. Just like Moby Dick, you know.
Exactly. That's exactly what I thought of.
Are you calling me a whale?
Thanks for watching. The party's not over. It's just going to be a little bit quieter from here on out. Please hit the subscribe button and visit fanboyplanet.com for more content, because you never know what's coming next. I know I don't. And remember, use your powers for good.